Hello everyone, welcome to a main account game review. I was pretty proud of this one, 94% accuracy, and then I had a 2550 rating for this game. But let me dive into it. I had the white pieces. It was a 10-minute game, not a 30-minute game, but I started with b4, of course. This guy played e5. Obviously we go with the bishop. He goes to defend that pawn, so I'm just going to play c4 and take this base. Everyone should already know this. Knight to f6, e3, bishop to e7, knight to c3. He's just looking for a quick castle, but he does play c6 here, which was a little weird. I don't know exactly what he was trying to make room for. The bishop's already free. That's not going to free it. He just blocked off one of his squares for his queen, so he must be trying to play d5 or b5 in the future, so I guess that this kind of worried him. But I just continued with my own plan. So we have a knight to f3. Bishop went to d7, which kind of gives me more thought that he's trying to push one of these pawns and he's trying to support this one. Bishop e2. Knight to a6. And this move always struck me as weird when people play it. So I just played b5. And now, I mean, there's not really a ton of good squares. This one, I believe you just actually lose the knight because there's no squares for it to go to. And a lot of people think that that's safe, but it's not. This move here runs into d4, which doesn't lose him his piece, but it does give me tempo. Because I want to play d4 eventually anyway, and now I'll have complete control over the center instead of just a little bit, which would be quite nice. So really you either go right back or you have to go knight c7. But the knight is also not happy on c7 because it doesn't have any outposts really except for e6, which the knight has no business being on. But that's where he goes, so I castle. And then he takes the pawn on b5. I take the pawn right back. And he plays b6. So this move, again, a little bit weird. I think he was scared of me pushing, b6 myself, but I never really had an intention of doing so because I would just lose it and give him a file. And even though he has these weird double pawns, I mean, that's not something that I'm going to be, sending my whole army after, right? But I'm going to play d4 here. You always want to try to play d4 to break the center and get rid of his central control and get your own. And he avoided it, which is very common. So I just went right back to knight d2. You may want to look, or you may consider the move knight to g5 if you haven't seen this before. But after just a little bit of calculation, you'll see that this pawn just needs to be defended one more time with d5, and then d5 is not very easily capturable because it's also protected by this knight. And then your knight is just going to be in a horrible position. He's going to play h6. To save the knight, you have to go bring it back to h3, which he's going to take, and then you're going to have these horrible double pawns, no protection for your king. I mean, I'm going to guess it's going to go to, like, I don't know, -2 or something like that. Oh, it says it's playable? Oh, what happens after this? You go f3. Okay, and what about this? You take f7. Wow, so that's actually not something that I knew. Wow, that is good to know. I gotta find out why this is brilliant though, because otherwise I'm just inting. So yeah, I know you take there. We'll let you take back. Do you check here? No, you play d5. And it's true that's protected twice over. But what move are we trying to get? Are we trying to bring the queen here? Are we trying to get the bishop here? I kind of want to look at the continuation of this real quick. I never saw this. I'm just going to say he makes a move like this. Knight takes e4. So knight is going to take back. Why is he not taking back? Oh, it's check. I'm sorry. I'm stupid. So knight e8 would now have to be played. Something like this. Okay, so that's why you would move the king back instead. But wow, they actually say that this is playable. And that it's winning, really. which is not easy to tell, but they say it is. So, take back everything that I said. The knight going here would actually be fine. Let me go back to my game. There we go. But I played knight to d2. But now you guys know that this is also playable. If you like your risky attacking openings. We see d5. I play a4. We get a castle. I bring my queen over to b3, just to put more pressure on this pawn. I'm never going to be able to take it unless I do some like major rerouting, bringing this knight to this square, which can be achieved, but it would cost a lot of moves. And then, I mean, he just plays bishop e6, and then he has 4 pieces defending to my 3 attacking, so it's just not going to ever work out. But instead, what I'm looking to do with this queen b3 move is 1, connect the rooks, 2, start pushing these pawns. He goes bishop to d6. I just want to trade those off because I know he's looking at this diagonal and I have no defenders in front of my king. So I'm just going to get rid of all of his offensive pieces. Yep, take that. Offer one more trade. He accepts, and now I'm just going to be trying to make a battery and push through. He goes rook to c8. I go ahead and double up. He goes knight to e6. And they prefer the other one coming, and then you kind of sneak into the position this way, I assume. But he's just moving this out of the way, so if I ever push a5, I don't have a chance to recapture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break upon his middle structure right here with f3. The reason I decided this move was fine to play because it is not fine to play in most games. This e3 pawn is extremely weak now. It literally is not defended by anything. However, the 2 pieces that scare me most with this e3 pawn on white is the dark squared bishop and the queen. Queen especially because it could take it from like any angle pretty much and then give you a check, which for 1 puts your king in an awkward space, for 2 it drops another pawn and you just lost all your central control and you're probably going to lose to these pass pawns. But like I said, I traded off that bishop, I traded off his queen, so I feel perfectly fine making this move. And now he's either going to have to recapture with a pawn, and I have a passer, or he recaptures with a knight, and then I also will make a pass pawn. If he captures right now, which is what he did, then I'm going to take with bishop. The computer seems to prefer the knight taking, because I guess it likes the outpost on e5. But the idea that I had with this bishop capture is that now I can threaten this, this d5 square. And I know he can still protect it with like knight c7, for example. But I also didn't like the idea of this knight, leaving to attack or whatever. And then my bishop and knight were on the same rank. So the rook could just come to c2 and wreak havoc and then double up, and all of a sudden I'm playing defense and he's playing offense. So we didn't want that. He goes and defends. I guess the computer wants you to sack this pawn. Don't ask me why, because I have no clue. But that's what it wants. I push a5, and he captures on b5. So I capture, he captures, and then I take the pawn, he takes the pawn, and I play rook to b1. And he has a pawn up, but I'm about to be grabbing a pawn back. He chooses to go rook c2. He's trying to trade my knight for the bishop, or he's hoping that I move my knight out of the way, either here and he trades and he's happy, or here and I block my rook's attack on the bishop. But I'm actually fine with this trade. I like having the bishop more than I like having the knight. So we take that trade, and then I actually take this pawn. And the reason I want to take that pawn is because if I take this pawn then becomes not capturable for a little minute. Whereas here I'm very much stopping any progress that I can make. And he actually doesn't even opt to take the bishop. So I play my h3 move now, because I just don't want to get checkmated, obviously. He goes and plays h6 as well, because I guess he saw that I play the move. He's like, alright, well I have a tempo to do so as well, just because I also could have played rook a8, had he dropped down to c2, for example. But I go bishop to b7, and my idea with that move is that if he threatens it, I can take the pawn and be a pawn up, as well as defending the piece simultaneously. So I'm happy with that decision. I also don't want to trade these pieces if I don't have to, because my bishop is going to become stronger. He also opened up h6, which doesn't matter right now, but normally if you have the opponent with a bishop and you're scared of back rank mates, you want to open up the side that he cannot threaten, because then checkmate is still a threat with back rank. But anyway, he goes and checks me. I go up to h2, obviously, no other move. He goes rook to c2, and that is actually a blunder. And I find it. No, I don't find it. Not right away, at least. Why did I say that's best move? What am I missing? Oh, okay, yeah, I see what it is now. That's not a blunder just yet. It's a mistake for now. But I get my free pawn. I'm still protecting g2 with the bishop. And he goes knight h5, which is the blunder. I was a little early on my call. And I pounce on it, so rook a8, king here, and then obviously my bishop is just going to go to e4, and I'm going to pick up the rook. And from here, my opponent resigned because it's not playable anymore. Pretty much you would capture that, and then I've got the exchange advantage, which is, a rook over the knight. I've got a pawn advantage, and then most importantly, I've got a protected pass pawn. And the two favorite pieces of a pass pawn are rooks, and those are the two pieces that I have. So at this point, it was pretty easy for this guy to resign. He's down 7, as you can see right here. Even after he recaptures, it'll only be a 3-piece point differential, but as far as position, that'll make up a lot more of it. These two pieces also have a hard time coordinating with one another. I'm sorry. So he's never really going to be able to find a threat. This knight has no home here, no home here. I mean, it could go right back to where it was, but I mean, it's not going to matter. I'm still going to be able to win this game quite easily, even against the best level of stockfish out there. But I hope you all enjoyed the review. I know that I learned a new variation that's possible for b4, so that was cool. And then, yeah, I will catch you guys for the next video.